I know there's a lot of kind of doomsday fears. Is AI going to take everyone's job? I don't think so. I think it's going to add a lot of efficiency. Of course, there will be some roles that might be replaced by AI, but AI is also going to create new roles, create new job opportunities.
As a founder, when dealers are looking to evaluate a new tool or widget platform, what do you think matters most to them once you get past, all the shiny bells and whistles, but really get past like the surface level features? Like, what's most important to a dealer?
So I'm going to quote Chip Perry, who we both know. Yeah. And he told me early on, we had a partnership with TrueCar. He said, "Disc, does it sell cars?" And that's the advice he gave to us and a lot of vendors. So I think from a dealer standpoint, like you mentioned, oh, wow, shiny AI, really cool.
Yeah.
But does it help you sell cars? Is it evident that that software application or that vendor is helping you do that or do service? So like the ROI, I think, is big. And a lot of dealers, especially in this market, pricing has become bigger because, integration fees, SaaS fees, they continue to increase. So dealers are really thoughtful, I've noticed recently, about what they're spending. And then the last thing, integration. Does it talk to my other systems?
Yeah.
Because now dealers might have 20 different systems and have to do a lot of like duplicate data entry.
Yeah. Does it sell cars? Leave it to Chip to come up with something like that. That's really good. As a founder building software for dealerships, how do you think about solving the real problems versus chasing the trend? We're talking about AI is real buzzword right now. But how do you really want to solve their problem versus just jumping on the bandwagon? How do you approach that?
That's a good question, because when AI a couple of years ago was really starting to get popular, be talked about, like the hype cycle was starting, we saw a lot of vendors that were just saying, hey, it's AI powered. It's AI powered. But what we did is a practical, first AI execution play. We did a vehicle description generator with AI. So we talked to dealers and they'd spend 5 to 10 minutes per vehicle writing the description that's sent out to Auto Trader, TrueCar, all the different marketplaces. And we built a tool that evidently saves time, 5 to 10 minutes per vehicle, automatically does that description for the VDP and helps dealers save time. So our approach again is, does it sell cars? Does it help sell cars? Does it make you more efficient rather than, the AI buzzword that truthfully is being thrown out a lot, in this day and age.
It's easy to bolt on AI to your tagline or something like that, but you really got to prove that it's in there and it can do what it says it does. As someone who's built tech from, inside the dealership world, do you see that AI is truly helping dealers today without taking away from the human side of the business? I know there's a lot of fear of AI taking over a lot of those roles and responsibilities and eliminating, the people who are a really important part of the buying process. But how do you see that kind of evolving?
It's a good question. I think AI today is more like a copilot.
Okay.
I'll give you an example in our engineering department. There's tools like Claude Code, for instance, that has helped our engineers be more effective, quicker. So it's not replacing their jobs. It's not replacing what they're doing. It's actually augmenting and helping them be better. And I think that's the phase of AI that we're in right now. And I know there's a lot of kind of doomsday fears. Is AI going to take everyone's job? I don't think so. I think it's going to add a lot of efficiency. Of course, there will be some roles that might be replaced by AI, but AI is also going to create new roles, create new job opportunities.
Yeah.
When elevators used to have an elevator operator, people were scared. Oh my God, all the elevator operators are gone. How are they going to operate elevators? But new roles were found and everything has continued.
Yeah. That's something I'm hearing a lot, like the efficiency, operational benefits and really the time savings. Talking with a lot of people, especially today, time is the one that just keeps coming up and we could all use some more the time to do more. And offloading a lot of that like manual, repetitive, monotonous stuff that no one really wants to do. Frees you up to, just be a more productive person.
Totally.
Okay, so we've seen over the years a lot of vendors come and go, burst onto the scene, and then a couple of years later might not be around, or they get absorbed into one of the big giants. What do you think separates, especially now, tech companies that last from those that don't in automotive?
I think if you're looking from like a vendor standpoint, I think churn. Like if you look at a product and you have high attrition, that says a lot about the value that product is adding to the dealership. And I think when you just carefully think about like retention, does it help sell cars? Back to, what Chip Perry said, that supports, having a great product, great customer support, great experience, integration.
Yeah.
And if you have that, you're going to have low attrition, low churn. And if you don't, you're going to have high churn. And I know that's kind of maybe oversimplifying it a bit, but like that's kind of my view.
Yeah, that's a good call out for dealers as they're evaluating partners. Like, what's your churn rate? That's a good indicator of whether people like it, whether it's effective, and if it's high, there's got to be a reason behind it. So yeah, we mentioned you started Selly at a pretty young age in an industry where relationships and experience are really important. So how did you, overcome kind of being a little deficient in both those categories?
Well, some funny stories. My first NADA, when I started my company, I raised capital, but I was only 23 years old. You had to be 25 to rent a car. So I couldn't even rent a car to get to Target to even set the booth up. A lot of dealers at first, you're my son's age. Like, what do you know about the auto industry? And I've had to really be thoughtful about adding value in conversation, hitting it head on. Yes, I might look like I'm your son's age, but I've worked in the auto industry. I built software and I'm passionate and I want to help you sell more cars ultimately. And I think, when you're young in the industry, you have to be tenacious. I sold our first 100 deals myself.
Oh, wow.
Like our first 100 customers. And early on, I knew everything. Onboarding, implementation. I was in all the product engineering meetings. I got my hands dirty. And by doing that, I really understood everything A to Z in the business. And that helped me connect better with car dealers, people in the industry, and employees.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you had to prove yourself quite a bit.
Yes.
And it's paid off.
But I love it.
Yeah.
Every day, new day, prove yourself, right?
All right. So along those lines, let's go back to your 23-year-old self. What advice would you give?
Everything takes a lot longer than what you may think, because when you're 23, you're like the Bay Area, you're like, wow, these companies are raising at huge valuations. They just raised a $10 million round, or they just did this. And what I understand now is don't read too much into that. Companies will raise 10, 20, 50, 100 million and still go bankrupt. You have to be thoughtful about your KPIs. You're building a business for the long term. Don't think about that quick exit. So just patience, being more thoughtful, and seeing things more long term.
Yeah.
And I would love to tell my younger self that, because that was one of my biggest things. Oh, I haven't done this yet. I'm this old. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Everything takes time.
Okay. So following up on that, and my last question, looking forward, you've come very far. You still have a lot left to accomplish. So how do you think founders and leaders today can approach AI and just the whole digital transformation without losing sight of like really what makes a dealership successful?
Yeah. At the end of the day, dealerships have to sell cars.
Yeah.
They have to service customers. And software, every year you're going to have brand new software, brand new vendors, brand new innovations. During the pandemic, everyone's talking about, oh my God, digital retail. Everyone's going to sell cars 100% online.
Yeah.
And since then, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah.
But it's another part of the ecosystem. I think CarMax said about 10% of their sales were online sales.
Wow.
Whereas, a lot of consumers are still finishing at the dealership. And AI, AI is not going to, change everything in the industry dramatically. It's going to actually improve things. It's going to take away some of those manual tasks you talked about, writing vehicle descriptions, very like tedious tasks, and make more efficiency so dealers could focus more on the customer buying experience.
Yeah.
And you look at like Amazon, they've done a great job with customer buying experience, making it easy to buy from them, Apple, companies like that. And that's trickling down to automotive. So I think with more like new technology, more innovation in the industry, that's going to make running a car dealership better. And you're going to be able to focus more on what you love.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, experience is everything in this industry. Well, Zach, that's all I've got. I really appreciate you stopping by. You had some great insights for us and maybe for some future young founders out there. For anyone interested, maybe in connecting with you, learning more, getting more info on Selly Automotive, how can they do that?
My biggest social channel, LinkedIn. So I'm going to check my LinkedIn emails, reach out to me. I love entrepreneurs. I love paying it forward. Love the industry.